Hi, I'm Bill Wetzel from the Surfratsball.com, and today I'm going to talk about reels that I personally use. Now, these reels are not reels that you may use, but I use them. So I don't need a lot of controversy. This reel sucks, this reel's good, this reel's bad. These are just reels I use. And the way I fish, you got to realize I fish 90% of my time, probably, maybe not quite that much, 85% is out in Montauk. So my reels are underwater frequently. Probably, I don't know, 60% of the time they're fully submerged. Other reels, my lighter reels, which I'm going to cover, are basically, I use them in the back bays. And they really don't get submerged, and I'm way easier on those reels. But what I look for in a reel is, I'm a guide, so I'm taking people out. So what I'm looking for is a reel with less maintenance and without a lot of moving parts. I'm looking for simplicity in a surf fishing reel. I hate a reel that has a lot of bells and whistles. Some reels they claim, oh, we have this on, we have this and we have that. It has 25 bearings and 33 whatever. I'm just not into that. Really, the less the better. So currently, my go-to reels for the surf are all Von Staals. Now, and like I said, I'm fishing mostly Montauk, heavy surf, a lot of white water. So I'm not saying that that's the best reel for you, but in my opinion, for surf fishing, Von Staal is the best reel on the market, bar none. And I don't care what anybody says. That's my opinion. I have tested a lot of other reels for certain reel companies, which I'm not going to mention. One reel company, I straight out told them, I said, you can't put this reel on the market like it is. It sucks. I killed that reel in like a couple days where the Von Staal was just going right through it. Currently, the Von Staals I use, this is a VS300. This is a very old one. Now you may say, oh, that's not that old because it's got the balance, the counterweight on the outside. That's true, but everything's been replaced. So has the skirt been replaced. Everything on this reel has been replaced. This reel is probably from, I don't know, early 90s. And it still runs great. This particular Von Staal still has a lifetime warranty, VS300. Now the reason I got this out is because a lot of people say, oh, that's the USA made. USA is better than Chinese. They're better than the China made reels. I completely disagree with that. This is a this is a USA made, and let's see. So is this a USA made? Now I remember when Von Staal first came out, USA made. They had a lot of problems. I mean, they were breaking handles. There were problems with the drag. If you can get an up close view of these drag knobs, what I did to these drag knobs, I filed them down, because what happens is, especially on a windy day, the line comes out and it will spool up around here if you're not careful. So what most of us did is file down the drag knob to prevent that, and that worked. That's just a little issue that Von Staal today, the Chinese Von Staal, they've rectified that. So I fish pretty much this one. I don't fish anymore. It's just I have it. I'm probably going to get to my son Cole when he gets a little bit bigger. This I still fish, the VS250, and what I use for my 11-foot rod, which is my go-to rod, and I'm going to do a whole video on rods that I use and I would recommend. What I use on that rod is my VS275. The 275 is a faster reel. It's a sealed drag as opposed to this. This drag, you just take off the drag knob here. It's basically a pen drag, like, and it's not sealed. And I remember before I got the 275, I was like, oh man, I don't want a sealed drag. It's harder to work on. This is easy to work on, you know. But I tell you what, the sealed drag is far superior. And I've had, with the 275, I've had hardly any problems with it. It's just a great reel. It's a big, heavy reel. You can look up how many ounces it is. But, you know, when the lure rod's locked between your legs, you hardly even notice it. You know, maybe a little bit on the cast, you notice it. But I love it for, it's a nice fast reel for inlets. And these reels take abuse, man. You know, people talk about the Z-Boss. Z-Boss is another great reel, but in my opinion, Avant Staal is a better reel, and it's better suited for what I do. And I've used them both. So those, you know, those are the big top two reels really for surf fishing. Another reel that I used to use a lot that I want to mention is the Penn 706Z. Now, the Penn 706Z is for somebody that doesn't want to spend a lot of bucks, like on Avant Staal, and wants to, you know, dunk it and abuse the reel. The thing about this reel is it does make a lot of noise. You can hear it, right? The roller will always make noise. It'll when it rolls. But we always joke and say, oh, you know, it's rolling. You know, this is the roller. In case you don't know, the line comes out and it rolls off the roller, and this rolls. But it always makes noise. So what I do, and you can't really even see them on this. Yeah, there they are. Hold on. What I do is I'll drill holes in the skirt. So when you drill a hole, you can barely see this. I don't know if you can see that, but when you drill a hole, you got to make sure if you drill on one side, it's got to be exactly on the other side. One side exactly on the other side. And what the holes are for is for the sand to move in and out. It helps the sand move in and out. So when a wave comes in and there's sand in that wave, the sand will move in and out. But if you don't do it on, if you drill a hole here and a hole here and they don't equal up, what happens, it'll set the reel off balance and it'll wobble a little bit. Another thing you have to do with these reels is when you get them, you have to make sure when the handle is down, the spool is out. See this one's just a little bit off. The handle's kind of up and the spool's fully extended. The reason being, when the handle's down, the spool's out. I'll show you in the VS. See, that's the position you want. Handle down, spool out, handle up, spool in. It's because when you make a cast, if the handle's up, the handle's going to tend to rotate, and especially on a windy night, a lot of times it will catch the line. And then, of course, you'll lose like a $30 plug. You know, so you want to make sure that handle's down and spool's out. And how you do that with a pen is you just take off the handle. This handle screws right off, and you can see you put in some washers in there until you have it to where you want it. You know, just go to the hardware store, buy yourself some washers, and until you get it where you want it to be, which is handle down, spool out. Okay, so next up we have the Avant Staal VR. This is a Avant Staal VR 200. A lot of talk about these reels. They're quite a bit lighter than the VS's, but you know, they're not made to be fished like a VS. The VR is for lighter surf. They're not made to be reeled underwater and abused like a VS. A VS, I mean, you can beat the hell out of this thing. I beat the hell out of this thing. This one, not really. I mean, these are for my customers, really. I don't really fish the VRs too much, but when you come out with me, if you want to use my stuff, you get custom lamb glass GSBs, and you'll be fishing this reel right here, the VS 200. Great for a 10-foot rod. So they do go underwater a lot. Mine personally do go underwater a lot. And I've had a couple issues with the drags on these, but basically, for the money, this is a very solid reel, and that's why I have it. You know, I think it's completely worth the money. You can still fish it underwater. You just got to maintain it. You know, you can't expect this reel to do what the VS is going to do. Period. It's not going to happen. And by the way, and this is really important, I don't care if you spend $1 billion on a reel. It's going to fail. If you fish the reel the way we do at Montauk or other places, when you're either swimming with it or walking out to rocks with it and using your rod as a cane and busting the reel up, it's going to fail. Things are going to happen. The drag's going to go. You're going to break the handle. You might bend this, or you know, who knows what's going to happen. You know, after a while, your roller might start sounding like it needs a new roller. You know, things are going to happen. You're abusing the reel. That's what a VS is for. It's made for abuse. But like anything else, things are going to break. It's just that they break less often on the VS, and I don't have to do the maintenance. You know, there's hardly any maintenance. You know, basically what I do, I personally don't do the maintenance on these reels. That's why I love them. My old pens, I literally was taking them apart every couple days because I guide. I used to guide with pens, so I would take them apart every couple days. I had to relube them, put new parts in them all the time. These things, I literally just send in. I just send them in. Sometimes, usually it's once a year. Sometimes it's twice a year. A couple times it's been 3 or 4 times a year, but this is going back to the early 90s since I've had the reels. But usually it's once a year I send them in, and they're gold. All right, this is a Penn Slammer 460. And I remember when the Slammers first came out, very decent reel. You know, all the Penns, like the Penn SS's, which I got a couple in here, the really old ones, they're all basically the same gears. They have a crosswind block, then they have a main gear, and they're all made out of that gray metal. And anybody who's fished Penn knows that the gray metal, at least in the saltwater, doesn't really last. I mean, this reel actually, I don't know if you can hear it. I got it. I can't hear it. Let's see. Hold on. Here, listen. Hear that? You can hear the gears. So the main gear on this one is probably shot. There's probably like a burr on one of the gears or something. So I got to get a new gear. And you know, this reel's old. However, the gears have been replaced so many times. What happens on these is a crosswind block goes, or the main gear goes, or all that gray metal stuff in there. It's just, it doesn't last long. You know, you may get me, not you. I'm not saying you. Me, I may get a season out of it depending on how much I used it. If I personally use this reel, just is basically for the backwater stuff, and I don't dunk it. So if I personally use this reel, I'm not going to get a season out of it. I'll probably get, I want to say, 2 or 3 months out of it, and then one of the gears is going to go. Probably the crosswind block or the main gear, or something's going to go on this reel. But you know, it's a decent reel. It's got a nice smooth drag on it, and it's what I use for my 9-foot rods, the Slammer 460s. So you're probably saying, "Oh, why don't you use a Von Staal 150 for your 9-foot?" Actually, I do use a 10-foot. I have a 10-foot, and I use a VS 200 on that. So that's another one of my back bay rods. Actually, a light 10-foot with a 200 on it. But the reason I don't have 150s on all my 7 or 9 foots is because it's a lot of money, man. You know, I can't afford. I got a lot of Von Staals. You can see here some of them right here. You know, I have a lot. I have more than this, but I mean, to put a rod on every single, put a Von Staal on every single rod that I have is, I mean, eventually that's the goal. So I'll eventually do that. If I could, I would, really. So that brings me up to another point. I'm not BSing you, man. I'm telling you like it is. I don't have any sponsors. You know, Penn is not a sponsor of mine. Von Staal is not a sponsor of mine. I know the people at Von Staal, and they're very nice, but they're not a sponsor. So the next reel up, this is more for my 7-foot rod. It's another Penn SSM. I was a tester for the Penn SSM, and this is one of the reels. I said you can't put out, but I that was the bigger one. I think it was the did they make it 850? I don't know what it was. It was so long ago. But there was a lot of problems with the with the screw that goes into the roller, and I had gear problems with it. But this little baby has been nice, I have to say. I put this on my 7-foot. This is the Penn. Wait, what's that say, Cole?
Where?
Cole, help me out here, my boy Cole.
440 SSG.
440 SSG. There you go. I don't have my glasses, so I can see in the dark fine. Now this, does anybody know what this is? I don't think you do. This is a Finnor Ahab Megalite. I don't know, you older guys my age, this came out probably, I want to say, early 90s maybe. This was a great little reel, man. Everybody wanted one. It's a very smooth reel. Has a great drag on it, and I still use it for my 7-foots. So that's another reel I use. Other than that, those are all the reels I use. I use all the VS's. I have a VS200, a VS300, a VS250. I use the VR 200s, and I use a few Penns. I use my Penn 706 as a backup. In my opinion, all great reels. And remember, I've used a lot of reels. Now, I don't want to hear a bunch of comments, oh, you should use this reel, or you should use that reel. I've been through all the reels. I know. I've tested reels. This is what I like. This is how it is. You know, I'm older. I've been guiding for over 20 years. So, and I've used a lot of other people's reels, you know, that come to me and they use them. I'll tell you a little story. I had a Daiwa rep come with me on one of my charters, and he wanted to know, you know, why we don't use Daiwa reels. And now I'm not going to get into this. No. I'm not going to do it on video. Not going to do it. Okay, with all that said, I want you to please consider subscribing to the surfratsball.com. surfratsball.com. There you'll find all the forums. I mean, some of the greatest surf fishing information I think that's on the internet. I host it. We have reports from other members. We have bait and tackle reports. It's new. We have my personal log. I mean, if you printed it out, it would be like 1,000 pages. It goes back to 2002. Every day that I fished is on there. We have the tournament coming up to help kids with terminal illness. And I mean, the tournament's going to be huge, man. I mean, we got a $1,000 first place prize. Von Staal, Lamaglass, those are all prizes that we have. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to raffle off after the tournament's over, and all that money is going to go to kids with terminal illness. So, you know, it's a great tournament. I think it's one of the best. It's 15 years. One of the original, if not the original, catch and release tournament for surf fishing. So please consider subscribing. If you don't like it, I'll give you your money back. $35, man. Totally worth it. And we can talk about how much this video sucks about reels. See you there. Bye.